Chapter 37. Next, Bazail made the Ark of Echidna wood, a sacred chest 45 inches long, 27 inches wide, and 27 inches high. He overlaid its inside and outside with pure gold, and he ran a molding of gold all around it. He cast 4 gold rings and attached them to its 4 feet, 2 rings on each side. Then he made poles of echidna wood and overlaid them with gold. He inserted the poles into the rings and at the sides of the ark to carry it. Then he made the ark's cover, the place of anointment, from pure gold. It was 45 inches long and 27 inches wide. He made 2 cherubim from hammered gold and placed them on the 2 ends of the anointment cover. He molded the cherubim on each end of the anointment cover, making it all of one piece of gold. The cherubim faced each other and looked down on the anointment cover with their wings spread above it. They protected it. When Bazail made the table of echidna wood, 37 inches long, 18 inches wide, and 27 inches high, he overlaid it with pure gold and ran a gold molding around the edge. He decorated it with a 3-inch border all around, and he ran the gold molding along the border. Then he cast 4 gold rings for the table and attached them at the 4 corners next to the 4 legs. The rings were attached near the border to hold the poles that were used to carry the table. He made these poles from acacia wood and overlaid them with gold. Then he made special containers of pure gold for the table, bowls, pans, jars, and pitchers, to be used in pouring out liquid offerings. Then Bazail made the lampstand of pure hammered gold. He made the entire lampstand and its decorations of one piece: the base, center, stem, lamp cups, buds, and petals. The lampstand had 6 branches going out from the center stem, 3 on each side. Each of the 6 branches had 3 lamp cups shaped like almond blossoms, complete with buds and petals. The center stem of the lampstand was crafted with 4 lamp cups shaped like almond blossoms, complete with bud and petals. There was an almond bud beneath each pair of branches, where the 6 branches extended from the center stem, all made of one piece. All almond buds and branches were all of one piece with the center stem, and they were hammered from pure gold. He also made 7 lamps for the lampstand, lamp snuffers and trays, all of pure gold. The entire lampstand, along with its accessories, was made from 75 pounds of pure gold. Then Bazail made the incense altar of echidna wood. It was 18 inches square and 36 inches high, with horns at the corners carved from the same pieces of wood as the altar itself. He overlaid the top, sides, and horns of the altar with pure gold, and he ran a gold molding around the entire altar. He made 2 gold rings and attached them on opposite sides of the altar below the gold molding to hold the carrying poles. He made the poles of echidna wood or acacia wood, and overlaid them with gold. Then he made the sacred anointing oil and the fragrant incense, using the techniques of a skilled incense maker. Chapter 38. Next, Bazail used echidna wood to construct the square altar of burnt offerings. It was 7.5 feet wide, 7.5 feet long, and 4.5 feet high. He made horns for each of its 4 corners, so that the horns and the altar were all one piece. He had overlaid the altar with bronze. Then he made all the altar utensils of bronze: the ash buckets, shovels, basins, meat forks, and fire pans. Next, he made a bronze grating and installed it halfway down the side of the altar, under the ledge. He cast 4 gold 4 rings and attached them to the corners of bronze grating to hold the carrying poles. He made the poles of echidna wood and overlaid them with bronze. He inserted the poles through the rings on the sides of the altar. The altar was hollow and was made from planks. Bezalel made the bronze wash basin and its bronze stands from bronze mirrors donated by the women who served at the entrance of the tabernacle. Then Bezalel made the courtyard, which was enclosed with curtains made of finely woven linen. On the south side, the curtains were 150 feet long. They were held up by 20 posts set securely in 20 bronze bases. He hung the curtains with silver hooks and rings. He made a similar set of curtains for the north side, 150 feet of curtain held up by 20 posts set securely in bronze bases. He hung the curtains with silver hooks and rings. The curtains on the west end of the courtyard were 75 feet long, hung with silver hooks and rings, and supported by 10 posts set into 10 bases. The east end, the front, was also 75 feet long. The courtyard entrance was on the east end, flanked by 2 curtains. The curtain on the right side was 22.5 feet long and was supported by 3 posts set into 3 bases. The curtain on the left side was also 122 feet long and was supported by 3 posts set into 3 bases. All the curtains used in the courtyard were made of finely woven linen. Each post had a bronze base, and all the hooks and rings were silver. The tops of the posts of the courtyard were overlaid with silver, and all the rings to hold up the curtains were made of silver. He made the curtain for the entrance to the courtyard of finely woven linen, and he decorated it with beautiful embroidery in blue, purple, and scarlet thread. It was 30 feet long, and its height was 7.5 feet. Just like the curtains of the courtyard walls, it was supported by 4 posts, each set securely in its own bronze bases. The tops of the posts were overlaid with silver, and the hooks and rings were also made of silver. All the tent pegs used in the tabernacle and courtyard were made of bronze. This is an inventory of materials used in building the tabernacle of the covenant. The Levites compiled the figures as Moses directed, and Ithamar, son of Aaron the priest, served as record. Bezalel, son of grandson of Hur, of the tribe of Judah, made everything just as the Lord had commanded Moses. He was assisted by Oholab, son of Ahisamach, of the tribe of Dan, a craftsman expert of engraving, designing, and embroidering with blue, purple, and scarlet thread of fine linen cloth. The people brought special offerings of gold totaling 2,193 pounds, as measured by the weight of the sanctuary shekel. This gold was used throughout the tabernacle. The whole community of Israel gave 7,545 pounds of silver, as measured by the weight of the sanctuary shekel. This silver came from the tax collected from each man registered in the census. The tax is 1 beka, which is half a shekel, based on the sanctuary shekel. The tax was collected from 603,550 men who had reached their 20th birthday. The 100 bases for the frames of the sanctuary walls and for the posts supporting the inner curtain required 7,500 pounds of silver, and 75 pounds for each base. About 75 pounds for each base. The remaining 45 pounds of silver was used to make the hooks and rings to overlay the tops of the posts. The people also brought as special offerings 310 pounds of bronze, which was used for casting the bases of the post at the entrance of the tabernacle, and for the bronze altar with its bronze grating and all the altar utensils. Bronze was also used to make the bases for the posts that supported the curtains around the courtyard, the bases for the curtains at the entrance of the courtyard, and the tent pegs for the tabernacle at the courtyard. Chapter 39. The craftsmen made beautiful sacred garments of blue, purple, and scarlet cloth, clothing for Aaron to wear while ministering in the holy place, just as the Lord had commanded Moses. Bezalel made the ephod of finely woven linen and embroidered with gold and with blue, purple, and scarlet thread. He made gold thread by hammering out thin sheets of gold and cutting it into fine strands. With great skill and care he worked it into the fine linen with the blue, purple, and scarlet thread. The ephod consists of 2 pieces, front and back, joined at the shoulders with 2 shoulder pieces. The decorative sash was made from the same materials, finely woven linen embroidered with gold and with blue, purple, and scarlet thread, just as the Lord had commanded Moses. They mounted the 2 onyx stones in settings of gold filigree. The stones were engraved with the names of the tribes of Israel, just as a seal is engraved. He fastened these stones on the shoulder pieces of the ephod as a reminder that the priest represented the people of Israel. All this was done just as the Lord had commanded Moses. Bezalel made the chest piece with great skill and care. He made it to match the ephod, using finely woven linen embroidered with gold and with blue, purple, and scarlet thread. He made the chest piece of a single piece of cloth folded to form a pouch 9 inches square. They mounted 4 rows of gemstones on it. The first row contained a red carnelian, a pale green peridot, and an emerald. The second row contained a turquoise, a blue lapis lazuli, and a white moonstone. The third row contained an orange jacinth, a agate, and purple amethyst. The fourth row contained a blue-green beryl, an onyx, and a green jasper. All these stones were set in gold filigree. Each stone represented one of the 12 sons of Israel, and the name of that tribe was engraved on it like a seal. To attach the chest piece to the ephod, they made braided cords of pure gold thread. They also made 2 settings of gold filigree, the 2 gold rings, and attached them to the top corners of the chest plate. They tied the 2 gold cords to the rings of on the chest plate piece. They tied the other ends of the cords to the gold settings on the shoulder pieces of the ephod. Then they made 2 more gold rings and attached them to the inside edges of the chest piece next to the ephod. Then they made 2 more gold rings and attached them to the front of the ephod, below the shoulder piece, just above the knot where the decorative sash was fastened to the ephod. They attached the bottom rings to the chest piece to the rings on the ephod with blue cords. In this way, the chest piece was held securely to the ephod above the decorative sash. All this was done just as the Lord had commanded Moses. Bezalel made the robe that is worn with the ephod from a single piece of blue woven cloth with an opening for Aaron's head in the middle of it. The opening was reinforced with a woven collar so it would not tear. Then they made pomegranates of blue, purple, and scarlet yarn and attached them to the hem of the robe. They also made bells of pure gold and placed them between the pomegranates along the hem of the robe, with bells and pomegranates alerting all around the hem. This robe was to be worn whenever the priest ministered before the Lord, just as the Lord had commanded Moses. Then they made tunics for Aaron and his sons from fine linen cloth. The turban and the special head coverings were made of fine linen and undergarments, and the undergarments were also made of finely woven linen. The sashes were made of finely woven linen and embroidered with blue, purple, and scarlet thread, just as the Lord had commanded Moses. Finally, they made the sacred medallion, the badge of holiness, of pure gold. They engraved it like a seal with these words, "Holy to the Lord." They attached the medallion with blue cord to Aaron's turban, just as the Lord had commanded Moses. And so at last the tabernacle was finished. The Israelites had done everything just as the Lord had commanded Moses, and they brought the entire tabernacle to Moses. The sacred tent with all its furnishings, clasps, frames, crossbars, posts, and bases. The tent coverings of tanned ram skins and fine goatskin leather. The inner curtain to shield the ark of the covenant and its carrying poles. The arks covered the place of anointment, the table and all its utensils, the bread of the presence, the pure gold lampstand with its symmetrical lamp cups and all its accessories, and the olive oil for lighting, the gold altar, the anointing oil and fragrant incense, the curtain from the entrance of the sacred tent, the bronze altar, the bronze grating and its carrying poles and utensils, the wash basin with its stand, the curtain from the walls of the courtyard, the posts and their bases, the curtain for the entrance of the courtyard, the ropes and tent pegs, all the furnishings to be used in worship at the tabernacle, the beautifully stitched garments for the Lord's priests to wear while ministering in the holy place, the sacred garments for Aaron and the priests, and the garments for his sons to wear as they minister as priests. So the people of Israel followed all of the Lord's instructions to Moses. Then Moses inspected all their work. When he found it had been done just as the Lord had commanded him, he blessed them. Chapter 40, last chapter for the day. Then the Lord, this is also the last chapter of the book of Exodus. So tomorrow we're going to be starting Leviticus. Just quick fact. Chapter 40. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Set up the tabernacle on the first day of the new year. Put the ark of the covenant inside and install the inner curtain to enclose the ark within the holy place, within the most holy place. Then bring in the table and arrange utensils on it, and bring in the lampstands and set up the lamps. Place the gold incense altar in front of the ark of the covenant. Then hang the curtain at the entrance of the tabernacle. Place the altar of burnt offerings in front of the tabernacle entrance. Set the wash basin between the tabernacle and the altar, and fill it with water. Then set up the courtyard around the outside of the tent, and hang the curtain for the courtyard entrance. Take the anointing oil and anoint the tabernacle and all its furnishings to consecrate them and make them holy. Anoint the altar of burnt offerings and its utensils to consecrate them. Then the altar will become absolutely holy. Next, anoint the wash basin and its stand to consecrate them. Present Aaron and his sons at the entrance of the tabernacle and wash them with water. Dress Aaron with the sacred garments and anoint him, consecrating him to serve me as a priest. Then present his sons and dress them in their tunics. Anoint them as you did their father, so they may also serve me as priests with their anointing. Aaron's descendants are set apart from the priesthood forever, from generation to generation. Moses proceeded to do everything that the Lord had commanded him, so the tabernacle was set up on the first day of the first month of the second year. Moses erected the tabernacle by setting down its basins, inserting the frames, attaching the crossbars, and setting up the posts. Then he spread the covering over the tabernacle framework and put the protective layers, just as the Lord had commanded him. He took the stone tablets inscribed with the terms of the covenant and placed them inside the ark. Then he attached the carrying poles to the ark, and he set the ark's cover and place of anointment on top of it. Then he brought the Ark of the Covenant into the tabernacle and hung the inner curtain to the shield it from view, just as the Lord had commanded him. Next Moses placed the table in the tabernacle along the north side of the holy place, just outside the inner curtain, and he arranged the bread of the presence on the table before the Lord, just as the Lord had commanded him. He set the lampstands in the tabernacle across from the table on the south side of the holy place. Then he lit the lamps in the Lord's presence, just as the Lord had commanded him. He also placed the gold incense altar on the tabernacles, in the tabernacle, in the holy place in front of the inner curtain. On it he burned the fragrant incense, just as the Lord had commanded him. He hung the curtain at the entrance of the tabernacle, and he placed the altar of burnt offerings near the tabernacle entrance. On it he offered a burnt offering and a grain offering, just as the Lord had commanded him. Next Moses placed the wash basin between the tabernacle and the altar. He filled it with water so the priests could wash themselves. Moses and Aaron's sons used the water in it from it to wash their hands and feet whenever they approached the altar and entered the tabernacle. They washed themselves just as the Lord had commanded Moses. Then he hung the curtains forming the courtyard around the tabernacle and altar, and he set up the curtain and the entrance of the courtyard. So at last Moses finished the work. When the cloud covered the tabernacle and the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle, Moses could no longer enter the tabernacle because the cloud had settled down over it, and the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. Now, whenever the cloud lifted from the tabernacle, the people of Israel would set out on their journey, following it. But if the cloud did not rise, they remained where they were until it lifted. The cloud of the Lord hovered over the tabernacle during the day, and at night fire glowed inside the cloud so the whole family of Israel could see it. This continued throughout all their journeys. Okay, guys, that's pretty much it. Not for today, but that was Exodus, you guys. We just went through 2 books in the Bible. 50 chapters for Genesis, I believe, and then 40 chapters. 50 chapters for Genesis, 40 chapters for Exodus, and we did it all in 30 days. That's good, guys, by my standards. I don't read a lot, so if I mess up in words like I usually do, it's just because of that. That's also what's going to help me with reading this, doing this Bible. I just wanted to hit a few things. So the 4 chapters that we read, 37, 38, 39, and 40. So the 4 chapters that we read today, 37 and 38, and basically 39. I could say, all the chapters that we read today was basically setting up the tabernacle, and it talked about how everything was set up exactly to the dot that God had wanted it set up. You know, everything was down to 7.5 feet wide and things like that. What I really wanted to look at, and I thought was pretty interesting, was that the people brought special offerings of gold totaling 2,139 pounds of gold. And I was just wondering, where do they get all that gold? And then there was also 7,545 pounds of silver, and then 750 pounds of 5,310 pounds of bronze. So that's well over, I gotta think, so 5 plus 7 would be 12, 14. That's about 15,000 pounds of gold, bronze, and silver, not including all the wood, all the finely woven linen, everything, all the different, I believe it was the blue, purple, and scarlet cloth, all what else was it? The fine linen cloth. There was also the sheep. I want to say sheepskins or ram skins, and then the embroidering and things like that. That's a lot of stuff, and that's a lot of work. Just thinking about it. And so I don't know if it was yesterday or 2 days ago, I talked about how there's like 3,000 people died because of how they were they were praying to the calf, and Moses had the people go and had the righteous people go and kill the 3,000 people. And so I was thinking that that was a lot of people, like maybe a fourth, but it's not even a fourth, because it says in verse 26, 26 on chapter 38, the tax was collected from 603,550 men who had reached their 20th birthday. So that's just the 20-year-olds. So that's a lot of people. So 3,000 people it's still a lot. It's a lot of death, but this is basically, I don't want to say the size. The country is probably not the size of the U.S., because I think that's about like 5,000 people or 5 million people. So maybe, I don't know, maybe half the U.S. If this is it's over a 500,000 people that is just 21 years old, and it's a lot of people. So I was wrong with that, thinking that 3,000 people, it's still a lot, but it's not a fourth. And then the rest was just a lot of talking about how Moses created it and how they had to set it up on the first day at the beginning of the year. So that's pretty much it for today, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, subscribe, and we will see you guys all tomorrow. Bye.